Hello guys, welcome to Online Web Tutor presented by WordPress Sessions team. I am Sanjay. Inside this video session guys, we are going to discuss about a WordPress plugin, and that plugin is used to move and the backup WordPress functionalities. Now inside this plugin, we are going to discuss about its features and how can we use and operate with our WordPress setup. We will see inside this video. So if I back to browser, now this is the fresh installation I have done to my local system, and this is the latest version of WordPress, and it is called 5.2. Now inside this plugins section, I am going to actually install that plugin and we will see all the functionalities that plugin provides. Now what basically that plugin will do, if we go to Google and search about WPVivid Backup plugin, we will get the first link. While clicking on this link, we will redirect it on this page. Now inside this page, we can find about its description, about the core features or functionalities it provides, and many more documentation. Actually, we can study about its link. This plugin mainly provides the functionalities of making backup, restore, schedule, auto migration, something called website info, as well as if you want to make the backup to a remote storage area. All these functionalities basically this single plugin will provide. So if I back to WordPress setup, if I click on add new, we are going to install this plugin to our WordPress setup. Now inside this search section, if I type about, let's say WPVivid, let's say backup plugin, while typing this keyword, it automatically search this plugin inside WordPress repository. The first link, as we can see about that, if I click on install now, as we can see that the installing process is going. In few minutes, it will install this plugin to our WordPress setup. Successfully is now plugin is installed. Now if I click on activate button, we are on the way to activate this plugin to use inside our WordPress setup. Now successfully we have activated the plugin to our WordPress setup. Now while activating, we will see that in our left sidebar a menu is there, something called WPVivid Backup. All the functionalities basically made inside sub menus. If you go at the top, there are several tabs. It provides something called backup and restore, schedule, auto migration, remote storage, settings, website info, logs, and key. These are not the tabs, these are the features provided by this plugin. Now inside this plugin, if suppose we want to make the backup of our WordPress setup, including database also, so inside the first tab, backup manually, inside this section we have three ways to make the backup of our WordPress setup. If we want to make only database, we can select this. If we want about the WordPress setup, all files, we will select this. If we want to make the project setup as well as database, we have to select this option. The main advantage of using this plugin is that it provides the statement guide also, that while using this plugin actually we can study and understand about what it is saying. Now let's say that we are going to download the database of this WordPress setup. So while selecting only database right here, if I click on backup now it is downloading. As we can see, a progress bar is running and successfully it has installed and made a backup of database. Now the database backup is stored inside this folder. If we go about the folder structure, inside WP content, as we can see that a folder is made by that plugin. This is the default folder created while installing that plugin. If we go inside this folder, now inside this folder, as we can see that a zipped folder is here. This is the downloaded backup file of our database. So if I right click and extract here, it has given a folder. Again go inside that folder, we have a file, and if I again extract here, inside this folder we will find about the backup of our database. So if I open this file inside Atom Editor, if we move to editor, now close all these tabs first. Now inside this, as we can see that the backup of this database file contains all the necessary tables actually our database contains. it will gives about the database structure, means table structure, as well as the table data stores inside those. Back to browser. Now let's say that if we want to make the project setup, so while selecting the second option, actually we are going to make the backup of the project setup. In some cases, if we want to make the backup of our project folder as well as the database, we have to select the first option. Now instead of this selecting these options, we have two more options as well. As we can see in the right side, we have save backups to local. Obviously we have selected this radio button, that's why we have downloaded the backup to our local system. But let's say that we are going to actually send the backup file to our any of the remote storage, so we can also send here. If we go at the top, inside this remote storage area, we can connect any of these remote systems. Let's say that I'm going to use Google Drive to store our backup file to this Google Drive. If I click on that, here we have to provide a dummy name. So let's say that my drive. I'm going to authenticate with Google Drive. Clicking on this button, it will automatically redirect to our Google account to take the authentication to actually receive the information from our Google Drive or to access Google Drive. So I'm going to use this email address. We are going inside our email address and successfully it is authenticating. And as we can see that it is processing, let's say allow. So successfully we have given access to our Google Drive to this plugin, so that we are going to make backup and store inside the Google Drive of this attached email address. Now successfully we have attached our Google Drive. As we can see that this symbol is enabled now. Let's say that clicking on this link, we are going to save our database to this Google Drive. Click on this backup now. Now the plugin successfully actually made the backup and store inside our Google Drive. If I scroll down, as we can see that we have stored successfully at this Google Drive link. If I open Gmail to check that, click on this Gmail. I'm going to open Google Drive. So inside Google Drive, we can find that this is the file actually we have downloaded right here. It is opening. That's why it is faded for now. If I back to our WordPress setup, go inside that. If you go at the top, this is basically to make a logs for our download reports. Now here we have multiple options to make backup. Now let's say that we are not going to backup manually. We are going to make a schedule for that. So inside schedule, firstly we need to enable that. After enable, we want that automatically my site will make a backup after let's say 12 hours, daily basis, weekly, fortnightly and monthly. We can choose any of the options and what basically files we are going to download and save changes. Automatically the project setup will take action while selecting of any of these options and make the backup and store. If you select at the local host, then it will download to our local system, else it will actually store to our remote storage area. So if you back to the top, now inside third tab we have a functionality something called auto migration. This is the feature actually help us to transfer from a website from our old domain to the new domain. So for that we need a key. So how can we generate a key for that? So here is the link. So if I click on this link, now here we have provided some of the optional actually statements or the guidelines that how can we make the site key. So here as we can see that visit key tab of WPVivid backup plugin. So here go inside the key section. Now let's say that we are going to generate a key to auto migrate this site from one domain to another domain. So here we have to generate the key first. The expiration we can set right here by selecting any of the options. It means that while generating that key, we want that the key should be automatically expire after 2 hours. If I click on generate, as we can see that it is generated a link here. So if I copy this link, so copy this key, again back to our tab, something called auto migration. Now inside the second step, generate a key by clicking generate button and copy it. We have successfully generated and copied that key. Now go back to this page. This is the page, actually it is telling that. Now paste that key here. Now if I click on save, we are going to make the database plus file means entire website. So if I click on save, this error basically pops up because we are going to make the backup of this current website to this current URL. So we want to add a new URL for that. Inside that new URL, we want a WordPress setup. Inside that WordPress setup, we want WPVivid Backup plugin. Inside that plugin, actually we need to generate that key by copying that key from that domain and paste inside this domain to make backup of that. Now let's say that we are going to make the backup of this WP-5.2 to a new domain. So just go to key section, generate this key, copy this key, open the new WordPress setup, go add WPVivid Backup, and inside this auto migration, only we need to paste it here. And after clicking save button, we are going to make backup of this WP-5.2 to the new domain. Now inside remote storage, as we have seen that if we want to store our backup files to any remote area, we can just authenticate and make connection with that. Now inside this settings tab, this is the general configuration basically this plugin provides. Let's say that if I back to folder structure, inside this file folder structure, this is the folder by default, this is the name actually the plugin provides. If you want to change the name of this folder, so how can we change that? Back to browser, now scroll down. Now this is the backup folder section. Inside that we can change the name and save this file or save this configuration. Now inside this configuration file, here we have multiple options actually we can set to actually operate with this plugin. Inside this configuration section also, here we have a section called clean junk. Inside this setup, if we want to clear all the junk files or the log files basically generated by this plugin, we can also delete from these configurations. If I scroll down, now here we have configurations about timeout or the memory related issues what we are facing while installing this plugin. Now let's say that we are going to make a backup of our project setup, and that project setup, let's say, too much heavy. So while making backup, sometimes we actually face about the timeout issue or about, let's say, that memory limit issue. So we can fix all these issues by putting our required or needed limits inside these boxes. After passing, just we have to save changes, and according to these settings actually our site will be migrated. Now if I go at the top, now here inside this website info, suppose let's say that we are facing some issues while iterating with this plugin or about our WordPress setup backup, we can send about our log files to the support of support@wpvivid.com. Also we can see about the messages or the guidelines provided by this plugin. And if you go at the logs tab, here are the logs basically generated. This is the backup which is we have made at the local system, and this is the backup we have made at the remote storage. So simply guys, while going through this plugin, we can find about the several functionalities of WPVivid Backup plugin. At the first tab, we are going to make our backup. Also we want to restore our backup. We will do inside this tab. We can store the backup to our local system or at the remote area. In the second tab, if we want to enable schedule for that, it means that we are not going to make the manually backup, then we can set about the time and also about these parameters and save changes. Automatically it will make backup of time accordingly. Now let's say that if we want to migrate our site from one domain to another domain while going through this third tab, we can do. Now how can we operate with this auto migration? This plugin also needs to install at the third domain. While going through that setup, inside this key we have to generate this key. While copying this key, paste inside this auto migration, it will transfer this website from this domain to the next domain. Inside fourth tab, remote storage, we can configure about our remote systems. Currently we have activated about the Google Drive. In the next tab, this is a general configuration about WPVivid Backup plugin. This is all about sending our reports to the support team. This is for the logs and this is for the third party generated key section. Now successfully guys, we understood about that how can we operate WPVivid Backup plugin. Go through this link and install this plugin to your local system and see that what functionalities provide and how much it is flexible to use and see about the actions. So inside this video session guys, if you have any doubt, then please drop your comment. I will give my reply as soon as possible. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching and have a great day.